Hello and welcome to lesson 5.1, and this is finding slope from linear equations. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to practice manipulating equations to get it into what's called slope-intercept form. So how you know you're successful today is the first thing you can do is I can rearrange an equation into slope-intercept form, and this is what slope-intercept form looks like right here, and we're going to practice that. And then the second part is that I know which number represents slope, which is abbreviated m in this, in the slope-intercept equation. And then my slope over here is telling us to remember the name of this equation because your math teacher will actually refer to this rather often by name. So it is important to remember that. Okay, so one of the reasons why slope-intercept form is super easy to graph is because it's easy to find the slope, and this is my slope right here. So it is easy to find the slope, and that is abbreviated m. It's also easy to find the y-intercept. Okay. And my y-intercept is b. So when we go to start graphing these, and we won't graph them in this lesson, but when we do graph these, it's really important to know how to find your slope and your y-intercept because it makes graphing a lot easier. Okay, so if you get to the point in the video where you need to pause, please feel free to do that. I'm recording ahead of time, so I'm just going to keep scrolling. So if I go too fast, just pause. So I'm going to clear this off so I can scroll down and look at these examples. And so here again, my slope is in this position right here, and my y-intercept is right here. Okay. We're only going to be focusing on slope today. So we're going to practice getting equations to look just like this guy here. Okay, we want it to be exactly in that form. And the important part here I want you to see is this y. It doesn't have a number written in front of that. That's because it's an understood 1. So when we look at this example number 1, I want you to see we have a little bit of a problem here. We have a 4 in front. A 4 is not the same as 1. So in order to be able to use this equation to graph, which we're not going to graph today, but if we wanted to get it in the proper form to graph, we've got to get rid of that 4 to make it look like what I gave you for slope-intercept. So I'm just going to rewrite my equation here because it makes it a little bigger and easier to deal with. So when we see numbers touching like this, they are multiplying. When you see that 4 next to the y, it's 4 times y. It's just written in shorthand form. And so remember, to undo a multiplication, we've got to do the inverse operation, which is division. Okay, so if we were multiplying by 4, we're going to divide by 4, and we're just going to write it like a fraction. So I'm going to divide this by 4, but I got to treat all my terms the same. This is a term here, and I got to divide by 4. This negative 12 is a term here. I've got to divide by 4. So when I do this, my 4 cancels out here, and I get to rewrite stuff. So I've got y equals 8 divided by 4 is going to give me 2x. This negative 12 divided by 4 is going to give me a minus 3. This looks like this here, okay? I can rewrite it. Let's just kind of eyeball it here. This is my slope-intercept form. It looks just like it. So we have done what we needed to do. Okay. Now, my number that is in this position right here, this m, okay, in this position, it's the number 2. That is going to be my slope. All right, let's look at the next problem. So the next problem, we do have a little bit of a dilemma because notice it's got something going on right in front. So we've got a problem here. Let me make sure. Yep, there we go. It's got a negative. We can't have that negative there. It does have the number 1, but it's not a positive number 1. It's a negative number 1. So we've got to get rid of that. So I'm going to rewrite this. We got negative y equals, well, I could probably rewrite that a little bit neater. Negative y equals 3x minus 5. This negative y, it's the same thing as negative 1y. We are multiplying negative 1 times y. So to get rid of that negative, we're just going to divide by negative 1, but we've got to treat all 3 terms the same. Okay, so this negative 1, it's going to cancel out. Boom, and we've got y. This 3 divided by negative 1 is going to give me negative 3x. This negative 5 divided by negative 1 is going to give me a positive 5. And so now we can see that it looks just like our example, y equals mx plus b. And so that is our slope-intercept equation. And then the number that is in that m spot, so remember the one that's in this spot here, it includes the negative. Okay, we can't forget that negative. That is our slope. Alrighty, so I am going to erase this, and if you are in the middle of writing, just go ahead and pause it so you can finish your writing, and I'll go on to the next problems. Alrighty, so these ones down here, again, we're just going to keep arranging them until they look like this. Y equals mx plus b. Our slope-intercept equation looks just like that. So we're going to arrange until we get to that point. Notice this one has a fraction. We're not going to be too worried about that. We've got 3/4 y equals negative 2x plus 6. Now, I can do it, and those of y'all that are good with fractions, you might notice, oh, we could do 3/4 y. You know, there's a couple of ways to solve this. We could take this fraction and flip it and multiply across everything. But what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to do this in 2 steps because sometimes students get a little antsy about fractions. So the first thing I'm going to do is this is in the denominator. A fraction bar, all that really is division. So we're saying we're dividing by 4. So the opposite function of dividing by 4 is multiplying. So we're going to multiply everything here by 4. That's really 4 over 1. So that 4, it's going to cancel here, and that's going to give us 3y. 4 times, we're going to take this times negative 2. That's going to give us negative 8x. And this 4 over here is going to be times 6, and that gives us 24. So we can divide by 3, and we're going to divide every term by 3. This 3 cancels. And so I'm left over with y. And you might kind of have like this pause here, and you might be thinking, oh my goodness, we got negative 8/3. This is not reducing. And that's okay. When we do these types of problems, these fractions we actually like, they help us when we go to graph. So we're going to write negative 8/3 x. 24 divided by 3 is going to give us 8. That is our equation in slope-intercept form, even though it has here in the slope position a fraction. Okay, so that is negative 8/3. Now, if we had just multiplied with this fraction, you'd see, you know, this and this would cancel out and give us that. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 divided by 3 is going to give me negative 8/3. 4 times 6 is 24 divided by 3 is positive 8. So if you flip your fraction and multiply, you can do it that way too. But, you know, some of my students prefer it in 2 steps. So that's why I showed you 2 steps. I just wanted to show you quickly you can do it in 1. And I know that. All right, let's look at this type of equation here. This one's a little bit bigger and a little bit more complicated, but it's no big deal. We're going to go ahead and solve that. Let me write this out. We've got y plus 2 equals -3, and we've got some stuff in parentheses. We need to distribute this out in the parentheses. Okay, so we're going to distribute. So it's -3 times x, -3 times -1, that's +3. Y plus 2, we're just going to write that down here again. It's almost in slope-intercept form, but notice the y over here doesn't have anything else with it. It doesn't have any plus or anything, okay? So we've got, if we got +2, we've got to move that away so we can get that y by itself. This cancels. We get y equals -3x plus 1. That looks just like this. Yay us. So we did great. So that we can write here. Okay. And again, when it's written in slope-intercept form, like I said, it looks just like this. So whatever is in that M spot is our slope. So whatever is written here in this spot, -3, that's our slope. Here we go. All right, example 5, we have this one that looks even a little different still, but it is no big deal. We can totally solve this. Let me say red in this color. So we got 6y minus 2 equals 2x plus 10. Okay. Again, the goal is to get it to look like this with the y on the left-hand side by itself. So the first thing that I'm going to do to try to get things away from this y is I'm getting the thing that is the adding or subtracting away. That's the first step when you solve these kinds of things, getting it away from the y. So we got a -2. We're going to add 2. Okay. The opposite of addition or subtraction is addition. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. This gives us 6y equals 2x plus 12. Now, we still have a coefficient in front of y, and we've got to get it to be an understood 1. Okay, 6 next to y is multiplying. When they're touching, they're multiplying. So to undo that, we're going to divide by 6, and a fraction is division. That's all it is. Okay, divide all terms by 6. This cancels. This is going to give me y. 2 divided by 6, we get this fraction here. We can reduce that, right? So you remember reduction of fractions back in elementary. 2 divided by 6 is the same thing as 1/3. Plus 12 divided by 6 is going to give me +2. My fraction, or my slope, is the number that is right here in the M spot. This number is right here in the M spot. That is 1/3. Okay. And then our last example problem here is this 2x plus 3 equals y minus 4x. And as we rewrite that, we've got kind of an oh no moment. We see if we are trying to get this to look like this y equals mx plus b, we've got a problem here because look, our y is on the wrong side. Oh no, what are we going to do? Well, you know how when you're making pancakes, you can just flip them? Or if you're making a burger, you can just flip them. It's still a burger. It's still a pancake. We can flip this equation and put that on the side we need it to be. So we're just going to flip-flop it. We're just going to flip it. So I've got y minus 4x equals 2x plus 3. We just flipped our hamburger. That's all we did. It's the same exact thing. Now I'm going to distribute, or I'm going to get rid of my parentheses. Okay, so I'm going to distribute here. We get 2x. 2 plus, or times 3 is 6. I'm going to write this down here again. To get the y by itself, we're subtracting 4x. All we have to do is add 4x, but we've got to remember to add it to both sides. So we get y equals 2x plus 4x is 6x plus 6. I can write this down here. And then my number that is in this position, in the M spot, that's my slope. And that's how you solve all of those. So this is the end of the lesson. We did it where we rearranged equations into slope-intercept form. And then the second part is we found the slope once we got it in slope-intercept form. Until next time, bye guys.